Hi, welcome to the market alert for Monday the 9th of October 2017. So on Friday the market was waiting for the non-farm payrolls, and you can see there the pound barely managing a 50-point range in the pre-news announcement. You can see the news coming in here with this big bar, and of course the news was just something else, because it was forecast at 86,000 new jobs created, and it came in at minus 33. Let me just check that. Yes, that's correct. It took a moment or two to actually get to see the figure as well on Friday. The Forex Factory site was temporarily unavailable, which harkens back to the old days actually, when we had economic news released. You couldn't actually get on the site until 5 minutes after. So the non-farm payrolls, one big shocker this is. I mean, there was 169,000 created before. They went with 82, and I said that they'd probably bring it out somewhere around there to make it look reasonable, to keep the market buoyant, but it came out at minus 33,000. And what did the market do? Well, we'll move on to the Dow in just a moment. The pound, obviously the dollar ran up, the bonds went down, and eventually the market then just traded sideways. And in the daily chart you see the market finding support at the 130.32 level, which we drew in on Friday. In the Dow, well, I mean, talk about the twilight zone. I've never seen anything like this ever in 20 plus years of trading. Never seen it at all. You get the news out in days gone by. Let's put it this way: in days gone by, when we had non-farm payroll figures like this, the market would have absolutely sold off. You'd have had one of those 300 to 400 point days to the downside. And what did we get? We got a bit of a move to the downside, and then they just held the market. They sold the VIX and just held it in a range. You've never seen anything like this following such a massive change in the data. I thought at some point this market is going to actually take off, but it didn't, and failed to for the first part of the session. There was no chance of it doing anything in the second part, and all we had was a 40-point range for the whole of the session. It was just unbelievable. I've never seen anything quite like it. As I said, keep going on about it. It is unprecedented. And again, you can only put this down to manipulation to hold the market. Oh, and look, on the overnight market, we're moving back to the upside. So again, it's if you ever wanted proof that there was manipulation going on, then there's your answer, because unbelievable. And now we're heading back to the 22,789, which is the new record high. A great article in Zero Hedge called Flatliners, and it's an analogy to the film that was released many years ago about flatlining individuals to see if there was nirvana on the other side, and the markets have become like that. And I would urge you to actually have a look at this article. It really does analogize the Flatliners movie with the way the market is at the moment. There's some brilliant charts here. Prices go up no matter what time frame you look at. I mean, there are just dozens of examples of what I've been talking about in the market alert for the last several years. And the markets go up, there are bubbles everywhere, and as it says here that and still central bankers can't find any inflation funny. They know there's inflation. I mean, Yellen's said that she doesn't understand inflation in the last live meeting from last month. And somebody needs to sit her down and give her an education. Try asking one of the cleaners at the Fed, because they'll tell her exactly what it is, because it's impacted upon them. This is not normal. There is no heartbeat, and there isn't. This is a chart of the VIX. Record lows in the volatility index now, which you can see, which we've covered many times in the market alerts, and it just goes on. One chart that was quite fascinating, this one as well actually, where you're looking at real disposable income growth remains meagre at best. We've got Debt expansion at the lowest rate continues to sustain the illusion of real prosperity for 90%. So true. As we said, it's an illusion. A meagre set of rate hikes already really putting pressure on revolving credit, and that's credit cards is what is being spoken of there. And a lot of good Fred charts there. And then I'll just finish off with this one because it's a big article, but well worth looking at. Here is the euphoria as well. You've got margin debt at record highs, along with the Dow Jones as well. And we've seen this before where individuals are overexposed, the market drops, they have to close the positions, and then of course it accelerates the problem to the downside then. Fear and greed index, well, we've seen this as well. We're now extreme greed according to the calculations. No surprise there as well. We looked at that with Gordon Long last week. You can see we're at off the scale with the greed as well there compared to 2015 this goes back to. So we're making new highs in the greed stakes there as well. Yeah, I mean, again, it says here, central bankers have flatlined risk and investors have crossed to the other side expecting nirvana and free money forever. So far so good, but of course all of these things eventually end. So a good article there, and again, it just backs up what you're seeing on Friday with this unbelievable, no free market whatsoever. It was just simply allowed to be manipulated and held there on such a massive swing in one of the most important economic news items as well. Right, let's have a quick look at the implied volatility before concluding. So on Friday we see just a tiny pick up in volatility there to 738 from 734. Hardly worth mentioning, but it just goes to show you again the complacency that is in this market at this time. Right, that will do it for today. It's Columbus Day today in the US. The bond markets are closed, the stock markets are open. Could be a fairly quiet day. In fact, let me just go back and check, see if there's any other economic news items before we finish off here. Yes, it is Columbus Day today, so saying there's nothing else out for anybody, so it could be another sideways day today. If not, it'll be one direction once the market's broken out, whichever way it decides to do that. Particularly the Dow, obviously, they want it up. As for the currencies, well, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's still speculation in the background regarding May as well, so that could bring a bit of weakness to the pound. Right, that's it for this one. As ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.